How y'all doing? So, right now, I want to get into my conversation that I was trying to start. You know, y'all gotta bear with me because I'm not used to talking on cameras and shit like that, you know? Everybody, you gotta get over your phobias and just do it, you know, but I don't like it's uncomfortable showing my face. It's like showing myself. That's crazy, but it is the truth. But my point that I want to make is you know, it's us. You know, it's us black men. And I don't want people to take this wrong. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to come across as if I'm just like being like this, you know. I don't want to come across as a racist man. You know what I'm saying? I'm far. If you know John Hamilton and his children and his life, you know that I'm not racist at all. But I do want to say that why can't we have something for us, specifically for us? Damn. You know what I'm saying? And how you do that, how all what you see, how you see what you call black privilege, right? There is other race people, right? That says that may call that ignorant because we are not understanding the fruits of being American in America. You know what I'm saying? And yes, there's racism to those who allow it. The same way when you were on a playground and you allowed some kid to bully you, or you in prison and you allowed somebody to take whatever your goods that's yours. That's kind of like how America is. You know what I'm saying? Damn, I'm sorry, y'all. That's kind of like how America is. You know what I'm saying? And like what I mean by that is like, if you're not gonna protect yourself, or if you're not assembled strong enough to defend yourself when you're attacked, guess what? You're gonna be attacked again. Y'all see me having trouble with this, right? Like I don't even know how to do it. So let me get something so it sticks there. Use this piece to hold it in place. So, you know, people are gonna attack you. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have it. And what I mean by that is like you're gonna have racism. We call it racism, you know what I'm saying? But we're not guarded. We're not protecting ourselves. We're not insulating our wealth. We're not insulating our culture. We're not insulating everything that we have. We're not doing it. And I understand that we are just trying to survive because we have like a survival instinct. You know, that's our instinct, even our language, even how we deliver to even one another. You know what I'm saying? Our whole culture almost is based off of surviving due to what we've been through since we've been, you know, we stepped foot over here in American soil, you know? And nobody want to knock that. Because we are doing the best we can with the cards that we've been given, with the deck of cards that we've been given. You know what I'm saying? And honestly, we're not doing that bad, specifically black men. When I say black men, we are the face of our race. We are the face of our women, our children, and the whole bit. That's the reason why I speak specifically to us. And that's why the best way I can is I want to explain to us, you know, not the way, but a way. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, okay, or if you've been looking at our history in life, you know, the spark is what is clever or creative. The what it produces, what that spark produces is something magical in humanity, where you got different minds come up with different ways to go and better that specific spark. And what I mean by spark is like, okay, what's that dude who created Ford, the Model T? Okay, look where Ford's at now. You know what I'm saying? By genius minds or collective thought that brung Ford to where they're at now. You know what I'm saying, or whatever. And what I mean by what I'm trying to say is, for us to live better, so that individually we can live better, we would face a lot less disrespect from officers and go through a lot less if we insulated ourselves with our own. And that is the American way, believe it or not. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by that is, if we had this land that I'm talking about, right? And I gotta write this shit or whatever, but if we had this space, mental space, right, where we just said, not even being racist or nothing like that, is it racist for a Chinese to have a Chinese community? Is it racist for all Italians or all Jewish or all whatever to have their own areas in America? That's what we was brought here for. This is what it was. Not we, actually. We were forced here, but other races came here and they were sold the idea, in that Ellis Island, they were sold the idea that you could come here and practice your own religion. You could come here and nobody's going to take your goods. And if you decide, and if whatever your ideas becomes, you become filthy rich, you can keep your money through this government system that's been created. Everything happens, and this sounds so simple, but for a reason. Even our new tech, our new inventions, everything. You can't invent something that somebody don't want. You can, but it's not going to be seen. There's plenty of people that have ideas that nobody even knows nothing about. But what I'm trying to say is, like, bringing it back to us. And this idea, my idea or my thought or my spark, okay, is like this. If we buy from each other first, right, on a grand scale, like we really put the pressure on it, what that's going to do immediately is, in the very, very beginning, if our strong men, okay, act like this is a serious, step, okay, and we cared about, we have to care about the next generations and stuff like that. This is what this is for. In the very beginning, what we would see is, in the very beginning, right, especially virally, I would imagine that we would see young adults and everybody of the sort of this race it would probably be a recorded funny thing of how we found this and that was black, and locating that's black. And some people would say, I can't stand it because, black businesses, they don't do as well as whites and whatever like that. And that's conditioning. And I understand why. And sometimes it is like that because we haven't had that much practice. You know what I'm saying? And to keep on going would be the hard part, but it would be so valuable and in the short run, because we do magical stuff. You don't notice it, right? But our race, you got to think from the boat ride over here, black men and women, black men, right? The boat ride over here, right? What happened to the sick, to the weak, or to the ones who couldn't grip exactly what was going on? Overboard, dead, right? When they landed on this ship, right, and they got to American soil, right, what happened? I don't know, but I imagine males went into like kennels, females went into like a kennel, livestock from off of a ship, children, male, female, and very fast you had to learn. It was different cultures. It was different cultures and different languages in Africa. So everybody spoke a different African language. So what was the safe thing to do? The smartest thing to learn American language, right? So in doing so, I imagine everybody was sold off and we learned the American language and stuff like that, or the older taught the younger and stuff. And even during this duration, I'm just going to speed it up and just say this duration during slavery, right? If you were, if you couldn't get right, if you had any kind of weaknesses, if you was big but dumb, if you had any of these kind of situations, you were not needed. And the value of mankind, people thought a lot less, a lot more primitive back in these years, all of us as a human race. So I imagine life was just less valuable, and maybe that individual that couldn't get right was sold off even faster, or he was used for super unwanted, positions, or it just takes, the littlest thinking or whatever like that. And eventually that thinking or that kind of person filtered off. Okay. And that's my point. You know what I'm saying? During slavery, you if you couldn't make it, if you couldn't perform, produce, or whatever, you were killed off, or used for other methods that was just and super. I mean, it was all inhumane, but it was super inhumane, And even thinking about slavery itself, you know what I'm saying? As a businessman, it sucks that it was me. What I mean by me, it was black men. But I imagine that these people, it started off not racist. And like I said, we was all, as human beings, on a much more primitive thinking level. People thought on a much more primitive thinking level. And what I mean by that is, like, I could imagine for an example, a situation like, Bobby's grandfather died, back in 1810, 1790s or whatever, right? And his friend comes over and says, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry, your grandfather died, man." Yeah, well, he left you 150 acres. I know, man. What am I gonna do with all these acres? Well, I tell you what, man. Them boys over there making some money. Where? Over there in Alabama, they making some good money, man. Doing what? Selling cotton. Well, what you got to do? Well, what you do is, out of these 100 acres, what I would do is I'll sell 25 of them, get you up some money, and go buy, some niggas. Well, what you mean? We can march right on down here in the town. You see them boys following around the rich, and you see these boys over here, them niggas over there doing all of that work. Yeah, that's where they came from. And you go get yourself a set of niggas, and you basically start selling cotton. Now, what we all know, right? But America sold 85% of all cotton throughout America. I mean, it was like the big boom, you know what I'm saying, of cotton, because you got people, that were starting to wear designer clothes. You know what I'm saying? I imagine that wives started to wanting to look good for their successful husbands that come home from work or wherever they come from. So this cotton was produced at a crazy rate. You know what I'm saying? Whatever, for all different kind of stuff. Work clothes, looking good. Women wanted to look good, and little babies wanted to go to school. In decent looking clothes. This was all for like status. You know what I'm saying? Well, my children go to school with pants and sneakers on. You know what I'm saying? Or something like that or whatever. But my point is like, cotton was going crazy like crack in the 80s. It was just moving. Everybody who had it, it was being sold. And 85% of it came out of America. So everybody who had cotton mills, these plantations, was eating. They say that the word millionaire was invented during these slave years, because so many people becoming millionaires. Like right now, the way this AI and like this .com boom, created so many millionaires. The same difference with cotton. So my point is like, yeah, it developed in for a dislike. It took hundreds of years. You know, you got to think of I always think of the root of stuff. And you got to think in the beginning, we were different, you know, or whatever like that. You know, we could come up, we got these strong featured ways, and it scared the shit out of white folks. Same way it does now, or whatever like that. And the way life was happening, you know what I'm saying, all around us and stuff like that, and the development of America, the specific steps taken, blacks were used to help do that. You know, the conditions here in America was extremely hard. It wasn't like a lot of people can imagine, you know, or whatever. And producing and just living, I imagine, was hard, you know. So when life, you know, started to develop more and we had more of a grip, I think when we created like a system, like a government system, when the army and stuff like that was formed and stuff like that, we created, and it was, you know, a way of life, you know, different than our other countries, you know, that are a lot more older than us, you know. And plus two, I think we get this like, you know, faster, harder, stronger idea comes from us being the babies in this country making world. Like, you know, we imagine like, you know, the new kid on the block wants to show off, and he wants to, you know, be respected as a strong country. And I think that energy, especially in human beings, in every situation, man, you know, you ever had a friend or a cousin, especially us, you know, what I mean by us, to my black folks, you know, you ever had black white folks too, but you ever had a cousin or somebody or a friend or whatever come home from prison and they just blast off doing everything for themselves, and months later they got they car back up and they got an apartment, they got a business, and they got all this? Because when you oppress a human being, if you release that oppression and they allow freedom on the level of what they had before, and they appreciate that what they had before, that human being blasts off like something crazy. Sometimes it could be switched up into situations where we want to look good. You know, we want to look like we are one of. And I think when I say by we, I mean the white men that were in positions. You know, black people, we weren't in position to have any word and how this country's ran and how you know, how it developed or anything. And I think honestly that was dumb. You know what I'm saying? But we didn't know what this world was gonna shape up until today. Today, it's starting to go that direction, you know, or whatever. It's not like it was when I was a child. You know what I'm saying? As far as racism and how people look at black folks, it's out there, but it's a different way. You know what I'm saying? When I was a kid, shit, I remember being chased off. I remember telling my mother, like, yo, Mom, it's not like the 60s, Mom. Like, come on, stop. Let me do what I'm going out over there. No, I'm doing this and whatever. I don't know, you know. And she'd be like, well, look, now be careful. You know, I don't want you in specific areas. I'm from Long Island. And she used to always say, Levittown, right? I'm going to keep it a buck. Levittown. She used to always have a problem with me saying, I never was going there, but she used to always say that. It was, I forgot where it was in Queens. Don't go out there. It was a couple of them or whatever. And I understood it because I understood racism the whole bit, but I didn't understand it as somebody being racist to me. And a lot of times what happens, especially me now as a black man, right, and having women that are white and we have mixed children, those mothers don't understand it. They don't understand it at all. And they don't understand how racism is. They do, but they don't. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever like that. They don't know how to teach their children to be safe. You know, I'll get into that later. But, you know, my point that I still never get, because I got ADHD, but my point that I want to make is, if black men, if we create this mental space in our heads, right, where, every time you want an item, every time you have to do something, you need a service done, it's like you're bound by like almost a contract between us, okay, that we have to use us first, okay, and doing so, this will in fact create an easier world for us individually. You know what I'm saying? And I think that nobody understands, you kind of like knew these things, but sometimes you might need somebody to say, well, look, just point them out again. And by us, utilizing each other to buy goods and services from each other first, strong enough, what that in fact will do is, our black communities, right? No longer will those storefronts be empty. Okay? Them storefronts, boom, they're gonna get used up, because black businesses gotta support blacks. It's gonna be a rush, because we're gonna need everything from every different direction. So what is that gonna do? That's gonna make, I don't know how many, but a lot more businessmen, entrepreneurs, the whole bit. Okay? The whole bit. It's gonna make a lot more of them. What else is it gonna do? A lot more employees. People gotta work for it. What else is it gonna do? These street hustlers that we praise, and I understand why. I was a street hustler, or whatever. I understand the whole thing, or whatever. And I would like to think that a lot of us, we start off doing it at a strong necessity. And after a while, it turns into a game, I will call it. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, it'll be a lot more of these block huggers that sit out in, street corners or whatever, or even on a higher level that sell larger or small or medium-sized sums of drugs or whatever. That will start to diminish. You got to think. I kind of know both sides of the table. And I don't know where it's at today. But from when I started, the fact of it is, it was like $18 a gram, and we sold it at $100, sometimes $120 a gram, depending on where we had the best of both worlds in Long Island. We could get it in the Bronx, you know what I'm saying, in like 92, 93 or whatever, for like $18, $19 a gram. And then we would go out to Long Island, right? And we would get rid of it for $100 a gram, retail. Even retail, if I were to go out to like the Hamptons, second of all, nobody knows the Hamptons like a Long Islander does. It's hard to explain. And you're not going to get that by doing an interview or two out of it. You know what I'm saying? You don't know those areas, those little secret pockets where people are not even allowed to walk through or drive through, and there's a party going on for 2 days, okay? Or, the rich allowing their children to rent out mansions for a month. They're allowing their daughters or their sons to rent out mansions or whatever, and the mansions got 2 Porsches or something connected to it. And it's 2 Asian women. Long Islanders really enjoyed Long Island. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. And I'm sure men that were in my same position did too, or whatever. If you was a decent sized drug dealer, love foreign cars or whatever, everybody wants to be next to you. So these doors would open up in these areas, or whatever, and you was either the cocaine connect, or either one of the women or something had their eye on you, or whatever the case was. You know what I'm saying, or whatever like that. These worlds opened up and created If you look at the rest of the world, magical situations out there. But the general public will never know. Why do you think they want to keep Long Island and the Hamptons the same as a motherfucker? It's not worth letting y'all in and enjoying the fun, I imagine. And I'm not even, I'm a Long Islander where we suffered poverty and a whole bit too. I'm from a place called Central Islip, the old Central Islip, where you had a lot going on, the same things that you'll see in any corner of any hood community, same, everywhere. I hate it when you got us, right? And we'll be like, oh, you ain't from X place, you don't shut. That just shows how small your mind is, man. They need to stop saying that, man. Get out there and travel. That's one thing. I had no choice when I was a kid, that I would be swept up and I have to go to this school, or I have to go to this situation, or, I done been through Job Corps or whatever. My childhood was really dotty home. I really wasn't consistently home, like strong or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever like that. So I understood different places, and I was a thinker. I had things going on academically where I was a little bit ahead of the time. Where I don't know where, but it would open doors for me. So I would see other things, and I could do the contrast of life or whatever like that, which gave me a better understanding of this world today, and how things are made, on how stuff goes and stuff like that. But I'm sorry, I keep on getting off track. But my point is, storefronts and stuff like that, right? That would be filled up, and jobs, respectable jobs that you're able to take care of yourself, jobs will be more ready available, where you got respect eye to eye. A lot of times these men, I know for a long time it used to be always, well, black men, they are this or that. Usually it's a lie, whatever. And when you create these communities, nobody wants to be the guy. I've experienced situations where, some time ago I had a decent little business going on, decent size, man, that I cherish, that I love, and I was so proud of it and the whole bit. But under racist circumstances, I may explain to you or not, or whatever like that, I lost it. And it was clever, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And it took time to realize exactly, what's going on. And then you look at it on a broad scale. You look at these stories that you'll see online and stuff, and you say, wow, I'm not the only one. This world was created like this. And you get a certain kind of anger that's like, what the man? It ain't the fucking thing you're going to do because I'm this big. See, strength and power, ain't no one man can hold it by himself. You need numbers, be it smart or dumb. If it represents to the hundreds of thousands or the millions, and you got one thought and you got a leader to it, if you guys whoever, whatever denomination, whatever race, if you are 1 million strong, or 500,000 strong, 100,000 strong, right? And you have a committee, right? Or you have one individual that's got the, like a guru, that's kind of got like the say of which direction or whatever, honestly, they usually kill them off, right? Like you've seen in our past. But if you have that, right, that's power. Okay, when you have constructive movement in a large body of people, that's what the government doesn't like. Because that kind of shit is what forms control. And they notice, okay, that government been at this every day since like the 1600s. Okay, our way of knowing what to do for tomorrow, right, is recording it. We look at the past to see what we're going to do tomorrow. And that's our world's way of information, or storing information, or fixing problems. And doing so, they already know for hundreds of years, if you have that kind of strength, that's a problem. That can hurt the government business. You dig what I'm saying? The mafia. The mafia wasn't disassembled because it was killing people. Nah, it was unassembled because look at the control. Look at the, if you got Mario, okay, 5'5", and you got Big Eddie, okay, who is 6'7", right? 340 pounds of pure muscle, okay? He ain't that smart, but he's known for punching somebody and killing them, okay? But if the little guy can control that big guy, that's organization. That's power. That's control. That's dangerous to anybody. The mafia lived 70 years, in comfortable, eating healthy, under the radar or whatever. And they had this La Costa Nostra commitment where they just wouldn't tell. And that system was working. That's why a lot of our laws was made because of the mafia. That's other shit. I keep on getting off, people, but I'm going to get to it, all right? And my point is this. Let me hurry up and get to it. If we create this world, right, where we respect each other enough, and what I mean by respect is, you maybe even dislike that individual. You may feel whatever. You don't like the way he wears his pants. You don't like the way his gut hang over his butt, whatever, okay? Whatever, okay? But, for this thing of ours to work, you got to go and buy that item or get that service because it ain't nobody else around here. And though it won't last for long, you don't have to because that's not what this country's about. But if you want what the fuck we supposed to get, what we want to get to a point where it's so much easier to obtain the things that we want, a house, get out of this country, maybe twice a year, vacation every 4 months or whatever, some normal shit that y'all don't even know nothing about. That's normal, okay? If you want a world like that where it's a lot more easier, this is the spark. You dig what I'm saying? This is the spark. You have to have some form of control with us. All other races of men know this, and it trickles down to the women. How you think it is, right? When you got a white man that can go to his woman and she's, well, baby, what about the bills and what are we going to do? And I don't know what to go and do. They've been assembled for so long. That man can go to his group of friends, male friends. That's how thick and potent it is in their community. They can go to their male friends and say, yo, look, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm down on the mortgage, my daughter's college tuition or whatever, and Jason's braces and Allison's this or whatever the case is. Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to... Relax. I fucking love you, right, Tommy? Tommy, I fucking love you. You know that, right? I tell you, I take care of you, I'll take care of you, all right? I'm a man of my word. Am I a man of my word? All right, then. Relax. Go home. Calm the wife down, all right? And get some sleep. Tomorrow, me and the boys want to talk to you. You know how powerful that is? You know how that's created? You know how he's able to go and do that? You know the fuck how he's able to do that? That motherfucker has the power of his race that they don't even know each other. Today, it is so strong that they don't even know each other and they protect each other. Their system is so strong, right? Look at the levels theirs is on. Look where I'm at. We on day one. That's why they talk about us, bro, and say that, I don't know, man, they might not be able, or whatever the case is, but they will never understand the mind that we have went through. This don't feel like home. Our local stores don't feel like ours. Our house don't feel like ours. Even if you get to a certain level where you live in a little bit of this dream, it feel like a motherfucking dream. It feel like a dream. It don't even feel like ours. This country was built and designed specifically for them to win. And they've been at it. Why? Because they understand the power of history, what's written in the books. You dig what I'm saying? That word, I don't give a fuck. Woo! You know how powerful that word is? Flip that and ask yourself. Every time you say that, I remember in my community, that used to be hard. You know what I'm saying? It could be whatever they facing. Son, I don't give a fuck, nigga. Fuck it. Especially in prison. That's the main thing. And whatever, however the chips fall, it fall. Right? Look at the unsure steps that black men have bravely taken. And if controlled and designed, oh my gosh, man. Why you think they on us, man? Listen, man, we only make up 12.5 or 13% of this country. Okay? Why are they on us so much? Have you ever thought about that? Get 100 of anything and look at 13% of it. Should that be a factor? Should that be a factor? Gives a fuck what they... No. Why? Why? Part of it is because, like I was trying to explain, whatever, but they've put us through these filters through the beginning of this American ride. And what I mean by filters are that boat ride, the weak filtered out. Slavery, the weak filtered out. Jim Crow, the weak filtered out. Prison, the weak filtered out. Look what's being produced today. Look at these kids today. Don't stop them, y'all. Don't stop them. They doing something different, man. Between our stories and what they learn, and they see what's, usable for their minds and what's not, and what's been the status quo for American blacks in this country or whatever, and whatever we could, with love, try to feed them from every level of life. You know what I'm saying? From, that alcoholic that's in front of the stores to a street hustler that pull up and that big whatever, to that, executive or boss in a suit and tie that comes up and try to explain. You dig what I'm saying? They gather all of that and they make their decisions out there based and then seeing what they got with the freedoms that we never had. Our lives, we was bored as fuck. It was none of this kind of legit money making when we was coming up. You know what I'm saying? This organized way of making money. You entertainers today, man. It's designed. Y'all don't even know if y'all put on a certain kind of clothes and hold the mic a certain kind of way. I don't know what percentage, but it's a large percentage, and you're saying something halfway decent. That's a large percentage of you having a career in this lane. Do you know in my day, the reason why we look at Nas and say, motherfuck Nas, man, respect that man. Because it was a blank piece of paper. Okay? And this man came up with Illmatic, with his style, with his own hand movements, with his own army suit, with his style. You couldn't take another nigga's style back in our day. That was the big thing. So you had to make it in your own style, a blank canvas. And you had to come up a true artist. And y'all got the fucking nerve to sit up and talk about, I'm not even gonna get into that, man. Yo, let's focus on, I would love to get some feedback and told whatever, but if we learn to respect each other good enough to trade goods and services with each other first, okay? More jobs than any president under the sun can develop or say he is or whatever is gonna be developed. we're going to control our own police that come in our neighborhood. You know why? Because if we start making money like that, right? And you got less dudes on the block selling drugs, less violence happening, a lot less going on, because a lot more people are making money. Those storefronts are filling up, and those shopping areas, parking lots are filled up with cars, and people are in and out buying, doing what they want, and partying and having a good fucking time most of the time and shit like that. You know what the police gonna do? A black officer, because we wouldn't accept. Okay, if you got an area where it's all black, right? Just think on the contrast of white neighborhoods, and you got all white neighborhood. They got their own kind of police that respect. He understands, meaning his thought process is like this. When he sees an elder, when he sees that's the problem. You know, when you got these white officers and they see black men, 50, 60, 70 years old. These 23, 24-year-old kids is talking to them like they're 19. Okay? That old black man he'd rather die. That 30-year-old man, black man, of what he's been through, rather die. And we could get into some of the things that he's been through, because I'm a black man. And I'm a hard-working black man, meaning it broke, fucked up, and I built it back again. And it broke or was taken, and I built it back again. Or this happened, and maybe it was my fault this time, and I built it back again. All with a fucking smile on my face. Facing the world. Facing people who ain't got that a world, that a country was built specifically for them. That a elementary or kindergarten teacher truly knows and believes they're going to run this country in X amount of decades. A professor who feels it's his duty to teach because they're just about to go and run this world. A job that understands that they got to take care of themselves, or they feel comfortable because he reminds them, that boss or owner, the white employee reminds them of a cousin or a friend or a family member. So that pattern of, friendliness or happiness is already there. You dig what I'm saying? That's why things work for them and it doesn't for us. You can have two black men, okay? You have two black men with the same credentials, the same suits, hell, the same goddamn briefcase. Go to an interview. And that what's going to happen a lot of times, not every time, and it's changing. But what's going to happen, especially in my day, though, but what's going to happen is that white dude's going to get it, because that boss or that owner, he don't got time to go and save the world. You dig what I'm saying, brothers? He don't care. That white man don't care about saving the world. He's probably not even racist. But he want to make sure his family and his little girl got the little whatever on with the extra bow, or his wife got the pricier dress and the big whip sitting outside. That's what he's worried about, and that's what he should be. That's what he really, really should be. He ain't got time, and he don't gotta save the fucking world. Okay? It's not his world. He's just trying to get what he can get out of it and have a little corner of America for himself. So he hires that white dude because, you know what? He don't got time for this. He got to run a fucking company. His whole goal of hiring somebody was to get more help. Wasn't to go and fucking get a brother, and I understand that he's been through this and he's got to look through that and all of this. Nah. But doing so 1,000,001 times over with has produced this. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, man, the ones that I don't like is you may have the credentials and they don't have it. They don't have what that company needs to go and make that company thrive stronger. Because in your experience, you see what's going on in their company. But you know for a fact he's never gonna have you the face of his company. Meaning that if your position that's so strong because you understand it, and he knows that you're gonna be able to kill it. But them barbecues gonna be hard for him to understand that he's pro for us, American. And no, he's not racist. No, we're not talking about the racist one that hate niggas. We're not talking about him. We're talking about the one that's not racist. Fuck he gonna do at the family barbecue? Or the neighborhood barbecue? And that question, hey, Tom, doing good over there, huh? Yeah, it's pretty good. Everything's going beautiful. Yeah, I imagine so. What is Jesse's, gonna marry in soon? And the crowd laughs. That's what they avoided. So they ain't gonna have your black face, the face of their businesses that dad may have passed down to them. They gonna, dad, he talking to himself. Damn, I got fucking Jesse, the face of this. Dad would never let that happen. So we got to create our own, but we got to start from the seed and put that shit in the ground and water it and wait the time out while living life. And how do you do that? Well, the first step, harder than the rest of the world, but we have to go through this. We just do, because this is the start for us. Because we can be at a place where you got, if it started today, in 20 years, an 8-year-old kid will know none of this. Meaning, he's almost, the world's never seen us peak. We've seen the best of all the other races decades ago. And they're just living in there coasting. They're coasting along, giving good. You still ain't never seen what a black American, strongly emphasize black American could do as a group, stuck together, bound by a fucking mental contract that we gonna say, I'm not asking you to love. Love is too early right now, but you're gonna develop that love. If we keep this up, we gonna develop that love. May take a little while, but it'll be something different. Everything we do is different and strong, and there's a reason why. It's not like we just such magic. We only magic because we've faced the difficulties that history has put in front of us. Okay, so many of them. We conditioned from an uncle or yourself. Okay, that day, getting several doors slammed in your face. You dig what I'm saying? Because the color of your skin. And you go back home and don't know what to do. And you're still standing here right now in a good position. We are strong. Because some of us, brothers, I'm not going to say no, but some of us know both sides. Some of us doors have been opened that we looked or got, even some of us got, was relaxed in, that normally wouldn't be open to black folks. And we allowed in the black barbecue. Some of us experienced both sides, a lot of us, okay? How many of us was knee deep in the street and then years later, we understand that that's the norm of America. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is so corrupt, beautifully corrupt though. It is, man. Like, to go from a world where you could be, criminal number one or whatever they say, enemy number one, right? And then go through your time, you can fix it, whatever the case is. And then you can be in a boardroom making legit dollars and be respected for what you've held together in your illegal creative frame of mind. It's a fun place. And we got to keep it fun. Because it's fun. The main commodity of this world is people. But it's big money spent so that us black people do what we doing right now. We ignorantly don't want to be brothers with each other. It's okay for, like, the Charleston Whites to get on here and even feel comfortable enough as a black man. What if he was an ant? I wonder if an ant, right, that's a part of a village of ants can say, I hate all ants. Damn them ants. I'm up here with beetles. I be chilling with beetles up here. I wonder what happened to him. Look how we making these fools. It's so fruitful in this country too. We got enough money to make fools rich. Man, it's time to cut the grass, y'all. Okay? And you might be the motherfucking snake, you know? But hopefully you're smart enough to know that you can't do it all by yourself and you need a brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? And numbers is how this country works. We need a mammoth footprint for wherever we go. People look back and say, nah, look at that big ass footprint. Look what they left. Or look what's coming. Look at that big ass goddamn mammoth sized human that's coming. The big body, all them blacks coming. And I bet you these cops will stop making mistakes. Why they don't make mistakes with other race people? Or, this ain't for the young, because y'all don't understand nothing. Y'all don't. And y'all kick this whole thing out because life is happening too fast. We don't even understand what's going to happen with y'all. Because life is happening too fast for y'all right now. Okay? Extreme bad things, 8 of them a day, ain't the norm, y'all. But, hey, it is the norm. What the fuck? Hello. That's what I say, man. 1-800 numbers. I don't even know why I waste my time and listen to them. But usually they never speak to me. But anyway, man. Yo, let's comment and talk about we need to learn to respect each other just enough to trade goods and services with each other first. Doing this will eventually and in a short time stop police from disrespecting us. It would fill up your areas with jobs and stores and your own people. It would this would be the grass seeds, okay? Strong grass seeds of black wealth, and how in black wealth, even situations where, you know, low-hanging fruits will form businesses, and we can put together situations for us, by us. Okay, we can have a strong name in how the history of America goes. We can take a seat at the table when they chopping up motherfucking whatever's came in that's pretty. Okay, we don't do them showing our gums. We do it straight face. No more that tapping in. Ha ha ha. Especially if we're doing it as a whole. You dig what I'm saying? All these things can happen. Okay, they don't make a position for black men, older men, to be in, because we haven't developed our inner structure, our insulation level strong enough so that black men of my age got something to do in this world. We get is disrespected, okay, by our families, by America, especially white women. How many times you don't see a little ass white man in a big ass strong 250-pound black man face like this? They say that. Is that true? They say that a white woman, if 3 white women move on the street, on any specific street, the value, the median price of those homes go up a certain percent. Is that true, y'all? That's crazy work. Look what he done. Man, I want to get into. Let's talk, man. Hit me back. Let's talk about it, man. Tell me if poke some holes on what I'm talking about, or ride with me. You dig what I'm saying? And how you can ride with me? Subscribe to my channel, Word to Mother TV. And let's talk about it, man. And mind you, listen, man, I ain't no racist. I'm not. I'm just a black man, though. You know, I never understood that. We say, oh, yeah, but that's how ignorant. I don't know, but for all the brothers out there, right, that got white women, but you got something to say about black black culture or black world, subscribe to my channel, man. I don't get it. What that means that I'm not black? Because I got a fucking Caucasian woman? Subscribe to my channel, all of y'all. You know what I'm saying? All right? Let me get to work. I really got to go to work. I'm supposed to go on, well, I was going to show y'all, but actually this is just the, this ain't my work, what I'm doing, but I got to make a, what I got to do? Shit. I'm doing a fire job. And that fire job, I got to just make the estimate so that I can get paid. But, yo, man, we all we got, man. And I want life to be easier for me, man. And I know I make sense, man, because I done been in enough of life to go and see what's going on, man. You know what I'm saying? And as further as this camera, you know, I really don't know how it works, like to feel comfortable in front of it or whatever. And so I'm trying to make everything form together. So all of this right here, is that gray? No, I ain't got no gray. I got a little bit of gray. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to make this thing right here work so that I could just talk to y'all. Yeah, I'm trying to make it do something for me, but it's more to go and talk to us. Because there's a lot, man. There's a lot going on, man, you know. On hip-hop, on these Charleston whites, on what's a snitch and how. We got to go to the origin. We got to understand that, you know, white man snitching, okay, being called a snitch is different from how it was developed from a black folks, what we call snitching, okay? Anyway, I'm gonna look to see if anybody has said any comments, and we go from there. All right. All right. Peace.